Hello, Shotgun Squirrel here, and welcome to my review of Recore. So I'm trying a new format. I've only done 3 reviews so far, so I haven't really settled on one yet. I'm going to try and shorten it down, make it a bit more quicker, a bit more snappier. So I'm only going to talk about gameplay, visuals and story, and obviously a little intro to explain what it is, and a little conclusion at the end, because, still very much in the school mindset of, beginning, middle, end. So, first let's talk about the game. So if you haven't watched my series, which you really should, because, sometimes I can be funny, it's an action-adventure platform game. I don't want to call it like a platformer, because it's not really a platformer. It's more focused on the action-adventure, but platforming is important. It's developed by 3 studios. Their names are boring, so I'm not going to go into them, but there's a lot of people who had their hands on this, and it was published by Microsoft Studios. So, it did have big money behind it. It was released in September 2016, so as you can tell, this review is super in date and topical. The plot, basically, you wake up as Jewel, a female human. I feel like it's important to specify in a sci-fi, with a robot companion called Mac. The idea is you're meant to have woken up to this nice terraformed planet where the human race can begin again, but instead it's not happened, and you've kind of got to find out why, and that's where the adventure comes in, and then you find out why, which is lots of bad robots. That's where the action comes in, and the place is a bit of a mess, which is where the platforming comes in. The gameplay, as I've sort of suggested, is in 2 parts really. There's combat, which makes about 60% of the game, and then the rest of the game is talking and movement. So combat is kind of a colour match game. There are 3 colours in the game, red, blue and yellow. And the enemies are all part of this colour. They can sometimes be a mix of them, so they can be an orange, which for those of you who remember primary school, that is a yellow and red mixed together, and your job is kind of switch your gun to the correct colours so you do more damage against them. So that's kind of how it is. You just, if there's a red enemy, you switch your gun to red and then you shoot it until it dies. And unfortunately, it's kind of a bit dull. I'm going to be honest, the weapon isn't fun to use. It automatically locks on, when you want. Yeah, it does not often to what you want it to lock onto, but it automatically locks on, so there's no real skill there. It doesn't feel powerful, the gun. You just kind of spam like laser or electronic energy pellets. They don't feel like they've got any hit to them. There are charged abilities that you can use that kind of have a bit more punch to them, but you can't use them a lot. But yeah, combat's a bit meh in this game, unfortunately. There's no strategy, there's no planning, and you spend most of the time just jumping and dodging until they finally die, after you've held your button down for long enough. Thankfully, the movement in this game is a lot better. So movement is basically a combination of jumping, double jumping, boosting, double boosting, and then there's a grapple ability, which you have a little spider friend, which is pretty cool, which you jump these floating blocks and stuff. The jumping is really good. Platforming is actually really quite fun. When I watched a trailer for the game originally, there was a clip of the platforming bit, and I looked at that and I rolled my eyes and I went, oh god, I really don't want to play that. Gave it a go anyway, don't know why, but I did. And actually the platforming is probably my favourite bit, because the gameplay was, as I said, the gunplay is not great, doesn't feel good, but the jumping feels really good. But yeah, that's gameplay. Not much to say. It's fun for a bit, gets boring after a while. Visuals. So, unfortunately, we're going negative to negative here. Visuals are not good. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the technology was a bit behind or what. But yeah, it just seemed really outdated. Everything just looked a bit crap. I mean, it's not helped by the fact that the world is just, sand. Of course, it's rough. It gets everywhere. It's boring. They've got interesting things sometimes dotted around, like a robot head or a big giant hole to the center of the planet, then mining and crap. But it's just beige. The screen is beige. Everywhere you look is beige. Sand, rocks, beige, everything. It's just dull, and it's not helped obviously by the fact that the technology is pretty behind. You do go to dungeons and stuff, and they're slightly different in the dungeons, but they repeat the same sort of environments again and again, so even the uniqueness of that kind of goes away, and it's a bit dull. But that is kind of saved by the designs. So all the enemies, they have varying different degrees. They look different. They get more scary as you go on. Lots of different models, and obviously your robot companions have got lots of different body parts that you can swap in, swap out, and they're really good. They all look like they've been tacked together out of scrap metal, which is the idea behind it all. But yeah, they look really good. It's really nice. It's just a shame that they obviously come through this really like, it's outdated technology, which is surprising, especially considering it's coming from Microsoft Studios. But yeah, so that's visuals. Once again, still a little bit negative, unfortunately, but there we go. Story. So story's not really important. Not really at the end of the day. I mean, as I said, you wake up, shit's gone down. You got to find out why shit's gone down. But what I think is really interesting is that you pick up these little voiceovers, pretty standard trope in games. You pick up voice recordings and you hear about what happened before you woke up. And my God, some of them are so dark. Like, the human race is, nearly dying. There's really dark parts in the story. And the worst one is when you learn that when the bad guy robot takes over, he actually sends his little minion robots to execute the humans while they sleep in cryo. So when they're in cryo sleep, completely unconscious, he comes over and kills them. And then all the good robots that haven't sided with the bad robot are like fight to the death to try and save as many humans as they can. I mean, that is like literally gives me goosebumps just thinking about, and that's something I would really like to see. I mean, I would be really interested in a robot-centered story around trying to protect the humans from this killer robot. That's really cool. The game we get instead is just a pretty standard, oh, bad robot, I'm going to kill you. No, you're not. I'm going to find you. And then you find him and then you beat him. I mean, it's just, there's this weird, like, dad subplot about, like, your dad started it all and things. But I don't really see why that's important. And it didn't really add to anything. As I said, you're not here for the story, you're here for the gameplay. Which isn't too bad. I went in quite negative. But, it's all right. To conclusion, so it's been very rambly, but I've quite a lot of fun actually doing it this way. I might do this in future, but yeah, in conclusion, the game is, I don't know what happened. I think the game might have got bought, and then the team that were going to make a much smaller game had to make a much bigger game, but the decisions just don't make sense. There's a lot in this game that's not really fleshed out, not really got any benefit to, and the best way to explain that is the world. The world, you've got this big open world and it's just dead and nothing happens in it. You wander around, you walk into some bad guys, you fight the bad guys, and eventually you get to a dungeon and you go do a dungeon, then you come back out and you do another dungeon. Nothing in the world changes. None of the decisions and the actions you make in the game actually have an impact. Even at the very end of the game, spoiler alert, when you save the day and you flick on the switch to start terraforming the planet, nothing changes. Just there's no reason to do anything in this game because you never feel like anything's been accomplished. The most accomplished you feel in this game is when you do a dungeon and you beat the score. You get all the goals and stuff, because some of those dungeons are bloody hard. But yeah, it's I don't know, the game itself just feels as if it was just bloated. As I said, I think it was possibly a small studio was starting on it and having a bit of fun with it, and then Microsoft Studios were like, oh, you're a little indie developer or whatever was going on, hey, let's get you guys involved and we'll pump some more money into it, and then you got to make it bigger and bigger and bigger, and we're going to try and launch it on the Xbox One as a big game, because obviously at the time they were struggling. And yeah, I just don't think it worked. I mean, I guess my fundamental 3 questions are, did I enjoy the game? Yes, there were lots of times when I did really enjoy the game. Did I get bored for large portions of it? Yes. Yeah, it got a bit, yeah. Would I recommend it? If you got the Game Pass, it's a bit fun, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. I mean, if you like to complete things like I do, it can get a bit addictive to go from place to place and get all the challenges. But yeah, no, I'm not sure it's, yeah, I don't know. I hate being so negative about it, but I mean, that's how I feel really at the end of the day. So yeah, I wanted to shorten this review down. According to my audition recording, I have not. But yeah, hopefully this was a bit of fun to do it this way, a bit offhand. It's more fun for me anyway than just reading from a script. But yeah, long story short, game's not great, but it's kind of fun at times. And I mean, who doesn't want a pet robot dog? Shotgun Squirrel out.